Hello everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance, where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. I'm not going to mince words, this week was not good. Quite frankly, I'd rather talk about the actual big elephant in the room here. So you know what? I will. Where Billboard decided instead of actually keeping to a full 52-week tracking year for their charts, they instead decided to cut off 3 extra fucking weeks in order to match their Billboard Music Awards, an award show that nobody cares about and has been utterly forgettable and pointless for the past few years. Quite frankly, I have a lot more to say about this, most of it negative considering this is a really stupid idea to push your charts to end in October, but hey, that does mean that at least the dance charts have something going for them. It's a new year, and it's at least promising going into 2024, especially with Strangers by Kenya Grace getting more weeks at #1 in this Billboard year. But hey, it's got radio support still going for it, and streaming is up. Hopefully this doesn't stall out. This deserves to be a smash hit on the Hot 100. Unfortunately, what is kind of holding steady and won't go away for a while is I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and BB Rexa at #2, where the radio is just so strong with this that it's just not gonna really get knocked down, even with its losses on streaming and sales. What's more interesting though is Ecstasy by Suicidal Idol, which might have actually stalled out at #3, where it's got support in streaming, but even that is starting to stall out, and given that it didn't really hit the Hot 100 even after the Bad Bunny album just evaporated off the Hot 100, yeah, this might finally be done, and honestly, I can't really complain. It's not a good song here at all. Nor am I all that upset that Rush by Troye Sivan actually held steady at #4, where the stream boost it got thanks to One of Your Girls hitting the Hot 100 means that this actually stuck around a decent bit, and I can't really complain because it's the best song off the album, and I'm glad that it's finally sticking into 2024. Moving past David Guetta's Baby Don't Hurt Me with Anne-Marie and Coi Leray at #5, which is just not really dying off on radio either, but is falling harder on streaming, so it's not really gonna stick around. We had a new debut at the top 10 with In the City by Charli XCX and Sam Smith at #6, and really this isn't surprising considering these names are pretty damn big nowadays, and given that it's got big sales and a decent amount of streaming, this might actually stick around, or at least I expect it will. It's a pretty damn normal song to debut in the top 10 here. This debut didn't really do a whole lot in terms of damage, considering that it did just take over from where Troye Sivan was last week, and that meant that GMFU by AAoD and Barely Human was able to hold steady at #7 on huge streaming. Same deal with Lovely Bastards by Yatashi Gang and Zwayhander rebounding up to #8, as much as I can't stand that song. But then we get back to the expected fall for Got Me Started by Troye Sivan at #9, and given that it's still got decent streaming thanks to One of Your Girls, again, this is actually going to stick around better than its pre-album run actually showed. And yeah, I can't really complain, it's grown on me at least a little bit. And finally, a song that's finally on its way out, I Love You Ho by AAoD and 9 Lives at #10. Radio is not on board at all with this one, and given that streaming is finally rotated out for good, this song is on its way out, and honestly, it had a good run, so I can't really complain there. And on the topic of things that are done, our big fall off this week was Adore You by Fred Again and Obong Jaya, which will unfortunately just miss the year-end list for 2023. Damn shame there. Hopefully 10's actually able to hold. Oh wait, it actually fell down to 29 with Josie as well. Yay. I mean, at least it didn't fall as hard off its debut as Adore You did. Let's hope this sticks around. It's a really good song. Outside of that, Troye Sivan lost hard with the album Impact fading away, as Silly fell down to 50 and What's the Time Where You Are hit 36, and unfortunately alongside them, Pepper by Flowdown, Lil Baby and Skrillex fell hard to 47. This isn't gonna stick around either, that's a damn shame. But what's remaining are the last two, which honestly, given that Halloween has just come and gone, these might actually be gone come next week, and I can't really complain there. Like So by Xanteria fallen to 45 as it just loses hard on streaming, and most pleasingly for me, XOXO Kisses Hugs by Barely Human and Horror Movies at 49. I mean, I'm not complaining, the song's had a continuous collapse since its debut, and given that it finally fell hard, it might be gone come next week, and thank God because it's utter crap. But okay, our jumps and comebacks should be interesting. Right? I mean, Summertime Friends by the Chainsmokers rebounded to 49 thanks to the album's impact. It's probably going to be gone come next week. And in our jumps, we had Jungle by Alok the Chainsmokers and Mae Stevens up to 40. And again, this isn't going to last given that it's from the album. It's going to be gone pretty damn quick. But our other two jumps, honestly, there's a lot to like here. With Fashion by Britney Manson up to 21 as it continues to stick around way higher than I think anyone expected. And honestly, I'm not complaining. It's kind of grown on me a little bit. But what I'm not complaining about now that is only in my mind by Kenya Grace up to 37. It's rebounding across the board. Let's hope this actually sticks around. And again, if it's not going to be as big as Strangers, can we at least make this a decently sized hit on its own? It's a really damn good song too. I mean, I'd certainly take it over the majority of these god-awful debuts. Unfortunately, starting off with number 31, Think of Us by the Chainsmokers and GRACEY.
If you could, would you still call me up? You still think of us?
It's honestly really telling that even with an album impact that caused some decent momentum for other songs, not only were none of the high songs that utterly flopped before able to rebound, the only new song that came from this album debuted this low, even with a GRACEY feature. And honestly, it's really telling too, because this is utterly garbage. I mean, seriously, the most you could do with GRACEY is put her on board some of the worst vocal production you've ever had, where her voice is clipping the front of the mix and she's left completely stranded behind some of the worst production that this duo has ever made. Are you serious? I mean, there's those flat bass heavy synth stabs that just sound awful next to the flat and dry trap percussion, where this duo's lack of mixing skills are really starting to get utterly ridiculous at this point. They've been in the scene for over 10 years and they should know better than this. Especially with the song having next to no melody and relying on GRACEY's admittedly decent vocal presence to at least carry it, and even then, she can only do so much. I mean, I'll at least give them this, the lyrics aren't utterly awful like the majority of their other singles, where it's just in simple, not over him mode, with GRACEY playing the role of someone who really wants to go back to this guy, even when he's seeing new people, which you think you should move on from this guy given this situation. But it's 2023. The Chainsmokers are still making their female singers sing the most submissive and utterly forgettable lyrics possible, and it's getting to the point where it's utterly ridiculous and just does not sound good at all. So yeah, this is not good at all. Thank God it'll be gone next week with the album's lack of attention, and honestly, given the quality on board, I can't really argue against that. Skip this trash. Number 24, All My Fellas Pose for the Camera by Frizk.
All my fellas. All my fellas. All my fellas.
Okay, are we seriously doing this? I know that the furry side of this scene has started to get at least a little bit of momentum, but come on, this is built around a really forced meme of some really boring vocal sample for the title, made by an artist that leans more on the furry side of the community, and I'm sorry, this just does not interest me at all. I mean, I'll give them this, at least the production's at least a little bit decent, where even if the Jersey Club beat sounds really out of place next to the utterly obnoxious vocal sample that drives me up the wall, but I'll at least give them this. The synth production in the middle of the song's decent enough. It kind of reminds me of the Mario Kart games, and I can't really argue against more songs embracing that sound. Still though, it's an undercooked gimmick of a song, and given that I have absolutely no connections to the furry side of the community and really have no interest in it regardless, and this sort of sound not being something that I'll ever go out of my way to listen to, yeah, this does not work for me at all. Quite frankly, I have no reason to ever come back to this. Skip this one too. Number 12, Dreaming by Marshmello, Pink, and Sting.
Stars are dancing, dancing as the world turns round.
So given that Marshmello just dropped an album recently, I can at least see some of that debuting on the Hot Dance charts, or at least some of the singles getting a decent rebound, which given that the streaming hasn't been great, that's unlikely, but still, it could happen. But this is yet another loose single not tied to the album at all, with Pink and Sting on vocals, meaning that this probably will be one of the most boring things imaginable, and thankfully that's only confined to the verses here. Yes, they are expectedly boring as all hell, where the vocals just sound utterly checked out from both Pink and Sting as they sing the most generic love-struck lyrics imaginable, but I'll give them this, at least the drops sound a bit interesting, where Marshmello's going for a tech house vibe that, yes, does sound really out of place next to the muffled guitars, but it does create a decent driving atmosphere. I can at least see the appeal there. Quite frankly though, again, it's not that memorable. I've heard no shortage of songs that sound exactly like this, and given that this has such utterly tuned out vocals and doesn't really sound all that good regardless, thanks to Marshmello's mixing issues, I have no real interest in going back to this one either. It's not bad, but again, it's not good or that interesting either. I'd probably pass on this one too. And finally, number 6, In the City by Charli XCX and Sam Smith.
Like you sit me down, took time to sing myself, 'cause
Oh, thank God. there's at least one halfway decent song here. And yes, it is annoying that Speed Drive wasn't able to cross over here despite being an obvious dance song. You could have made this a hit. But hey, I'm not complaining that Charli XCX is back on the charts, especially with a collaboration with Sam Smith, who's been showing their weirder side recently, which means that these two honestly fit well together. And thank God too, because this is actually a pretty damn solid song. Yes, it does have problems, especially with Sam Smith, who does sound a bit too brash and in your face, especially with the vocal production compressing their voice to utter pieces, and it just doesn't really work for me at all. But hey, the production slaps with the louder kick and the hi-hat against a really heavy bass line and some great sparse synth integration that sounds really damn nice. And Charli XCX has the personality that really does work well with this sort of sound. I'm not exactly complaining that her presence is back on the charts. Honestly, the most interesting thing about this is just how regular it is for a top 10 debut. The majority of them have been really strange curiosities or some bizarre detours that didn't really do a whole lot for me. So to sing a song that's otherwise normal and routine managed to debut this high is pretty damn nice. And the song being solid as well, yeah, I can't really complain there. This is good stuff. And you know what? My God, it is by far the best in this utterly forgettable and horrible week. With the worst, okay, it was pretty damn close with Frizk, but I'm gonna give the worst to Think of Us by the Chainsmokers and GRACEY. Just an utterly worthless song. Let's hope it's gone next week. And speaking of next week, honestly, there's the possibility of a new David Guetta debut, but besides from that, I don't really expect a whole lot to really cross over here. Hopefully it could be at least a little quieter and at least a little bit more interesting than this week. Let's hope for that. But yeah, that's all for this episode of an analysis of dance. See you next time.